Micky! You're all very welcome, very welcome, very welcome. Glad to have you along on this 12th of July special. Yes, it's my traditional vlog for a traditional time of the year. And as has become my tradition, I give a traditional shout out to my group of Patreon friends who, if you'd care to join them and help me to keep my tradition of annoying people, that would be greatly appreciated. The link's up there. Just join them. Very, very, very kind, very kind. There. Isn't it hot? It's hot. It's hot. People, it's hot. And this is, like, I see beneath this grey, there's a ginger. There's a ginger in here beneath this grey. And we have not evolved. We have not evolved for this sort of weather. You understand? Weather. You can see the gingers running from doorway to doorway, diving into cars, knowing that if their skin are exposed for a second. See, I don't get suntans. Gingers don't. I keep explaining this to people here. We don't get suntans. You understand? The best you get is that your freckles join up, right? And right after that, they become melanomas. So stay out of the sun. Put on sunblock. That's all I'm saying to you. Because it's hot. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot. Can't believe how hot it is. Woo! What's made it hotter, of course, is it's the 12th. Now, before I begin, let me say something which I know will be completely ignored by those who I'm about to annoy. I have nothing against the celebration of the 12th. I never have had, I never will have, but I do have the right, I believe, to comment on the utter madness surrounding this year's commemorations. For the truth is, the vast majority of people who celebrate or commemorate, I'm never sure which word to use, whatever it is, the 12th, the majority of the loyalists who do so, do it in a respectful and dignified fashion. They have a good day out. But as always, it's always the insane fringe who just twist everything and become the story. And as has become indeed traditional, the main focus of trouble, as always, has centred on 11th night bonfires. Now, where to start, boys and girls? Where to start? Well, let's begin. Let's begin with the bonfire in the village in East Belfast, where a massive construction was erected on a site beside both an asbestos dump and the main electricity substation for both the City and Royal Victoria hospitals. Here's a visual of just how close the bonfire was to both. There was much debate and conversation, and journalists all over the place asking locals what they thought, what they didn't think. And this was one lady's opinion on the controversy around her bonfire.
This is the asbestos here beside us. It's been here from 2007. Our primary school is round the corner from it. Nobody has ever worried about it up until now. 3 days before the 11th, they've started this about taking the bonfire away. The community and the reps of this area have been in contact with everybody. They've put all safety measures in order and have been doing from April. You know, we had young boys here yesterday crying because they thought their bonfire, who have worked all year for this.
Hold on here.
The children were in tears. Children have been looking forward to this whole year. Children were in tears.
Seriously? Children do not build bonfires hundreds of feet into the air. To do that is the work of what I call man boys. Fully grown, hairy-arsed men who've never grown up and for whom the highlight of their year is building the most dangerous and or most offensive bonfire in the country. Now, another local man was asked about the thing, and he made a very, very valid point when he said this.
Late in the day to bring it up, I think anything that could have been done should have been done a lot earlier.
I agree with that, man, 100%. 100%. Why in God's name did the council wait until the damn thing was built before they said it had to come down? Surely they could have nipped this in the bud and closed off that site as soon as the first pallet flew in. But no, as usual, our home for the slow and simple, commonly referred to as Belfast City Hall, waited until it was built. They had then the temerity to demand that the PSNI go in to protect contractors tasked with taking it down. The response from Chief Constable John Boucher was promptly received. Away and smell your ma! Or do it yourself. And while there's been a lot of criticism of Mr. Boucher for that decision, being completely understaffed and underfunded, this was a poison chalice Mr. Boucher rightly refused to drink from, deciding that the only sane course of action was to do nothing. Because think about it, if he'd moved in heavy-handed, the inevitable result would have been riots, not just in the village bonfire, but probably in every loyalist area of Belfast and beyond. There could have been another Drumcree, for God's sake. So, on this occasion, the prudent action was the one taken by Chief Constable Boucher, and I will not criticise him for taking that decision. And while I've said I've my doubts,
Children were crying.
I have my doubts. Here's the real nightmare here. There's a very strong possibility that if them children are in around that area, they will be crying. They could be crying in 20 or 30 years' time as they struggle to breathe due to asbestosis contracted after being exposed to that toxic substance at that bonfire. Asbestos is one of the most dangerous carcinogenic substances known. If even a small amount of it is discovered in an old building, that building is immediately closed to the public, and specialised cleaners are brought in hazmat suits to remove it. Yet, at that bonfire, children would have played close to where it was known to be present. Seriously, people. Seriously. We just achieved some improvement in stopping the burning of tyres on bonfires here. Now we have jumped straight from the frying pan into the fire by erecting bonfires beside asbestos dumps. But you know what? Ignoring the most basic health and safety and putting children's health at risk by having them beside an asbestos dump, that wasn't even the worst that the bonfire builders had to offer this year. Oh, no. I've had a theory for a long time that you haven't really arrived as either a politician or a celebrity here until you've had an effigy of you on an 11th night bonfire. And there were two examples this year. The first was this effigy of the Kneecap rap band, and I actually took this second picture, right? A rude placard about Stephen Nolan on another bonfire in North Belfast. Now, I doubt either Kneecap or Nolan will lose any sleep. But they weren't the worst. What was much more problematic was what the bonfire builders in Magashel and Tyrone decided to adorn the top of their pyre with. Not the usual tricolor or a Sinn Féin poster, no! Instead, they had an effigy of a migrant boat with about a dozen life-size mannequins wearing life jackets. Look at this. No, there's no way.
The children.
No way. Children were involved in that. That took a lot of planning. That took a lot of effort. They had to get those mannequins. They had to put them in the boat. They had to raise that boat on top of that bonfire. Children were not involved in this at all. Now, the whole thing was rightly denounced as blatant racism. Not that those morons who put it up will mind, as they doubtless love the attention they're getting. And here's the thing. As for the claim that it was
It was an artistic expression commenting on the issue of illegal migration. No.
Indeed, I'd like to ask this. It's a genuine question. On what date did arriving here on a boat become problematic? Now, there's a reason I ask that. I ask that because I would suggest that everyone who erected that bonfire is themselves progeny of ancestors who arrived here on a boat. Indeed, in their case, I can accurately date their arrival as being in or around 1609 or after, during what became known as the Plantation of Ulster. So, if they are saying that nobody who arrives here on a boat,
We can't have them here on a boat, you're coming over here, taking our jobs.
what do you work at?
Oh, I'm on a DLA, so I'm not well. My nerves are wrecked. No, I'm not well. Top rate. I'm not.
See, to see if they want to be logical, if they want to follow the logic of their own insane argument, then they should be on the next Stena link boat back to Scotland.
Some chance I can't get the same DLA over there, son. You know, I can't get the same level over there.
Indeed, I happen to be one of the few people who can take a moral high ground on the issue of migration, as my clan, the O'Cahans, stretch back into the mists of time. Right, we stretch right back to the first Homo sapiens who made the trek to Ireland 33,000 years ago. Yet we did still arrive on a boat. Of course, this isn't the first time I've talked about the 11th night bonfires, and here's a wee clip exclusively for my Patreon followers of material I did on tour some years ago. Question is, what we need to happen is, of course, here what's least likely to happen. Namely, that as a society, we finally accept that two distinct tribes happen to occupy the same small piece of land. And until we also accept the right of each tribe to commemorate or celebrate their culture, leaving aside, of course, the thuggish, racist minority of morons, then we're doomed to continue to stumble yearly from one unnecessary crisis to the next. And it doesn't matter which culture you belong. Nobody has the right to ignore laws which we adhere to the rest of the year. Nobody has the right to intimidate or persecute, and those who do so should be made amenable to the law. So while I accept that the decision of Chief Constable Boucher not to intervene in the village bonfire was the right decision, I'll be very interested to see if he brings anyone before the courts for the disgraceful racism exhibited at the Morgashall bonfire. But people here, I am not pessimistic about our future. I believe we're moving forward, even though our progress can appear at times to be tortuously incremental. Now, an example of this for me was the day that my 12-year-old son arrived home from school and asked me, "Daddy, what's a tig?" That's how he talks. He's middle class, goes to a grammar school. You know what I mean? He's not like me. He's not down with the people, right? Good child. But no. That's just.
What's a tig, Daddy?
No. Seemingly, another boy had heard his name and had called him that. I didn't, like other middle class parents, I didn't go running to the school to complain. Instead, for me, I thought this to be a very positive sign. Think about this. I thought I have managed to get my son till 12 years old, and he doesn't even know what tig meant. By the time I was 6, I was fluent in all sectarian offensive terms about Catholics and prods and all the rest of it. So I sat my 12-year-old son down and I explained to him that tig was a derogatory term for a Catholic, originating in the Anglicisation of the Irish male name tag, used as an ethnic slur for stage Irish men. I then said to him that he should go back and correct the boy who'd called him that, as, having a Protestant mother, he was in fact only half a tig. Now, for my middle class, for my viewers, you just follow on the take thing. You may notice in bonfires KAT. It appears quite widely on many bonfires. Now, KAT is an abbreviation of Kill All Takes or Kill All Catholics. Not very nice, but there you've learned something. But here's the truth about it. The 12th will never be cross-community. But I hope to live long enough to see a time when it's much more inclusive and as seen as the commemoration of a past historic event. This is something that happens in many cultures around the world. Indeed, the controversy of this year brought to my mind another 12th many moons ago. Many moons ago. I was a very young man. At that time, I was very friendly with two gentlemen. One was called John Powers and the other one was called Mr. Smirnoff. So there I was, sitting on the Falls Road with my girlfriend, and I was conversing with Mr. Powers and Mr. Smirnoff. And suddenly one of them suggested to me that, as it was the 12th of July, that myself and my girlfriend should travel into town to witness the 12th parades firsthand. And so, there we were, standing on Royal Avenue, me full of both Irish and Russian courage. And I have to say, I was very impressed. I was very impressed by the bands and the colour and the marching, and it was very impressive, I thought. But as I turned around, I noticed my girlfriend was shaking with fear. I admonished her. I said, woman, behave. Like, how can they tell that we're Catholics? Wise up to yourself, woman, wise up. She replied, of course I know we're Catholics. I said, hi. She says, we're both ginger. I was about to giggle at this. But the giggle died in my throat. As looking around, I realised to my horror that she was indeed right. And we were the only gingers to be seen. I quietly removed myself from the proceedings. What? I refuse to be deterred. Well, I believe in cross-community. I believe in reaching out across all communities and cultures. So this year, for the first time, I watched the lighting of the 11th night bonfires in Belfast. All of them! From the safe distance of Napoleon's nose atop Cavehill. There I was, along with hundreds of others. Papish. I'd say they were all Papish. All Papish. 99 point. Well, they're all Papish. There we were, watching the bonfires pop into light right across the city at midnight. It was sublimely beautiful. It was like so many little candles lighting in the darkness. And so, boys and girls, when both the dust from the bonfires and asbestos have settled, when the streets have been cleaned of a mountain of beer cans deposited by bandsmen carrying banners denouncing the evils of alcohol, nothing will have changed. And many of those people will be returning to their low-paid jobs. Oh, you're a snob, O'Kane. You're such a snob, I hear you say. I'm just talking about something that's never mentioned around the 12th or the 9th of August or Easter Sunday. And that is that all such commemorations and or celebrations are as much about class as politics or history. Now, I'm pretty certain there are as many Protestants living in the Malone Road or Hollywood or even where I live in leafy North Belfast as in East Belfast or the Shankill. But there are no bonfires to be seen in any of those middle-class districts, nor do you witness flags fluttering from their lampposts. Why is this, Jake? I hear you ask. Why is this? I will tell you. Kerching! Money, honey. For who lives in those middle-class, upper-class areas but the politicians, top civil servants and securocrats whose incompetence has allowed our society to drift into a Groundhog Day of eternal division and conflict. Indeed, staying on the issue of class, I would argue that this year the real scandal wasn't the bonfire in the village, but the fact that an asbestos dump has been lying in the middle of such a densely populated area, close to a children's nursery. Can you imagine for a second the uproar if such a dump were to be located in Hollywood, Cultra, or the Malone Road. Some chance, aye. Indeed, at an Orange event on the 12th, the village's local MP and, as happens, leader of the DUP, Gavin Robinson, he was arguing for unionist cooperation. Fair enough, Gavin, say I. And can I be the first to suggest an issue both you and whoever else represents East Belfast can cooperate on, namely the removal of a toxic asbestos dump in the middle of the village that's been lying there for years. And while they're at it, maybe our Environment Minister could move his focus away from the bonfire and instead explain how such an abomination was allowed to occur in an age of such strict health and safety regulations regarding the safe disposal of toxic waste. Just a question. I'm just asking questions here. I'd love to hear the answers. A sign we were approaching the silly season came when Tracy Kelly, the new DUP Lord Mayor of Belfast, removed a picture of Irish President Michael D. Higgins.
I don't know what I'm doing to these people. I was hoping to come to Belfast to say hello to the woman. I was going to write her a poem. I'm not writing her a poem now. I don't know what I've done. I tried my best.
That Micky D. Higgins. His wee picture was up there beside King Charles in the mayoral parlour, and she took it down, stuck it out the back. Took it down, stuck it out the back. A DUP spokesperson has explained that the decoration of the Lord Mayor's parlour is not yet complete. There will be further artefacts to be added in the next few weeks. Yeah, right there on. Probably including
a Union flag and an orange banner right up where Micky D was.
You know what makes this all the more pathetic and childish is the fact that when offered a picture of newly crowned King Charles during their tenure as Lord Mayor, Sinn Féin put it up on the wall. I would sincerely hope they don't react to the idiocy and childishness of Tracy Kelly and remove it when their turn comes to take over the mayoral parlour. People here nearly really just grow up. Just please, just try to act like an adult. Just will you try? It doesn't seem there even needs to be any political connection for an image here to cause trouble. A local artist has said that he's been humiliated after the unveiling of a mural he had painted of a local celebrity for the Grand Central Station has been postponed indefinitely. Now, who the celebrity is has yet to be announced. Big question mark. It hasn't been unveiled. Big question mark. But I'm making a guess. I'm making a big guess here. It must be one of the grumpiest wee shites this country has ever spawned. I will leave it to you all to put a name to that mystery local celebrity. But if it turns out to be the person I'm thinking about, then the cancellation of the unveiling is a blessing in disguise. Because I know for certain I would not want to be travelling into Belfast every morning for work and look up at that grumpy bastard's face looking down at me. I would turn milk sour. That would not turn milk sour. I'd rather go and play in the asbestos. You know what I'm saying here? That's the level I'm at here. I'm telling you. Oh, dear God.
You'll do nothing. You hear me? You'll do nothing.